Hi, my name is Cara Miller, and welcome to Trailblazers, a celebration of people of color who have achieved extraordinary things. Today I'm speaking with George Harris. He's an extraordinary man who is a legend both here and abroad. George has been in so many movies. I'll just name a few. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Layer Cake, The Interpreter, Black Hawk Down, and most recently, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. George, I am so happy to have you here.
Bless you.
When you were a young boy in Grenada, barefoot, did you ever think this would be your life?
You know, I imagined that I wanted this kind of life. Yes, I visualized it, and not in detail, but the big picture. And it's happening. I grew up in this fishing village on the beach, you know, fantasizing about the world where these ships were going.
Tell me, what kind of upbringing did you have?
Yeah, I live with my father. My father studied medicine in New York, and he was on the platform with Marcus Garvey and those people in the 20s. He never practiced, but he was a Bajan. So he went to live in Grenada, and there he met my mother. And they were like chalk and cheese, you know, the difference. She was like from farming, you know, stock, and he was more like an intellectual man.
Yes.
And anyway, I'm the result of their union, and they didn't stay together very long. So I grew up alone with my father.
You said alone with your father. Mm-hmm. Was he very encouraging of you?
My father was an amazing man. You know, he was a very, when my father spoke, it was like thunder and lightning. I mean, he was born in 1892, okay? And I was born And when my father spoke, oh man, you had to move, you know. It's just a look he was going to give you, you know. And he used to say to me that I was going to be a blasted good for nothing, that I'm not going to turn out to be any good, you know. But I know that, you know, deep in his heart, you know, he believed in me. But he did not want to let his emotional life get involved, because he had lost, you know, somebody who he really loved before. Probably he didn't want to get engaged in me. But, you know, I never went hungry. I never went without shoes. I never went without clothes. You know, he gave me the best education that I could get in Grenada, you know. And he told me that I was going to be an actor. And one day I came home on a Monday from Grenada Boys Secondary School, where I went to school. And he said to me, "Boy, I'm sending you to England." And on a Wednesday morning, about 3 o'clock in the moonlight, with a suitcase, he escorted me down to the quayside in St. George's, got on a small boat, and I'd gone to tell my mother on a Monday evening, about 3 miles away from there. I took my bike and I went to tell my mother that my father was sending me to England. And she said, who are you going to in England? Who you know anybody in England? I said, I'm going to talk to Mr. Harris. So she went up to talk to my father. And she got outside the house. She said, "Mr. Harris, I heard you're sending the boy to England." "Yeah, I'm shipping him away like a bunch of bananas." My father's a real Bajan man. Yeah. And so he you know, she just turned around like, you know, and went away, went back, you know. And 3 o'clock the next morning, on Wednesday morning, I was walking down to the quayside, and got in a small boat. You know, the boat was like the people were standing up here, and I was like down here in the boat. And you know, the journey to Barbados is like 14 hours, you know, by the small boat. And there was no food. I didn't think of it. But then I heard my mom's voice. She used to call me Paji, you know, like Georgie Porgy. Paji, take this. She threw me down a ball of paper, and inside it was a chicken that she had killed, and that used to walk around in the yard, you know. She said, "Take Flyny, you know, we give the chickens names. This is Flyny, I bring Flyny for you." And then she threw down another ball, and it was bread, you know, cornbread that she'd baked, you know.
We've got you in London now. You arrived How you found a place to stay? How you found your way?
Well, got off the boat train. I was 15 years old. I had £3 in my pocket, so I was a pretty rich boy in 1962. And I remembered one of my heroes was Cary Grant. So I imagined myself to be Cary Grant. I stepped off the train with my suitcase and wandered in very confidently, because I didn't want people to know that I didn't have anybody receiving me, because most people were embracing girlfriends, were embracing fathers, were embracing daughters, etc. And you know, I was too embarrassed to stand around the platform. So I went into the street and I hailed a taxi, because I remembered that I had a address book with a Sunday school teacher's address, and it said Church Street. And I thought I'd go to Church Street to see if I could find my Sunday school teacher. His name was Teacher Tony. So I told the taxi driver, could you please take me to Church Street? You know, again, like Cary Grant. And he said, okay. So I thought he was taking me to Church Street in Chelsea. When we got there, he couldn't find that there was no 300 and something number, so he thought it was Kensington Church Street. So we tried that. There wasn't. And so here we were going. By a process of elimination, we ended up in Ealing, Church Street in Ealing. And in those days, though, you know, people were very kind in 1962, because the winters used to be extremely cold, and people had a warm heart in those days. Yes. So I arrived at the door of Teacher Tony. I rang the bell, and this lady came downstairs, and she looked at me. She says, "Oh, you're Miss Ruthie's son?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You're Mr. Harris' son, eh?" I said, "Yes." She said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I've come to see Teacher Tony. I've come to England." She said, "Oh, come in, come in, come in." So I went upstairs, and Teacher Tony and his sister shared one room. And she would sleep there in the nighttime, and when he came in the morning from office shift, he would sleep there in the same bed. So I shared a bed with her that night, and the next morning Teacher Tony came. He was so pissed off with me. You know, he said, "What are you doing here, boy?" I said, "I've come to England." He says, "You've come to England, you come to the wrong place." He was already disgruntled with the cold and everything else. So anyway, cut a long story short, they had told me that I need to go to the West Indian Immigrant Service in Victoria, because I was underage. They took me down there.
And the next miracle, maybe not in terms of time, but in terms of what happened, was you doing all of these wonderful movies. What was that like, working on Harry Potter with all those child actors and all that amazing CG?
You know, when I left home, I was a child. I'm still a child at heart. And in my heart, you know, I'm a child. Yeah. And to work with all those great actresses and actors, you know, Emma Thompson, Academy Award winner, you know, we just there, like, it's all of us just like in kindergarten. You know, I know people like Michael Gambon and Ray Fiennes and all these people, you know, and to know, but I'm still that boy on the beach, you know, you see. So I'm excited, you know, I'm curious, it's like a great work. I'm always finding things out. I'm never sated, you know.
No. And so did you find that very much on the set with the kids as well?
The young kids?
Yes.
Oh, you know, it's great people, you know, Daniel Radcliffe and the others, you know, they have so much manners. They're really intelligent people. They're very talented, and it's my dream, yes. You know.